Welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving straight into something that absolutely blew my mind. We are breaking down a fascinating case study from our source material about a highly toxic, totally one-sided friendship. We're looking at Maria, who's the super talented, humble artist, and Gigi, her supposed best friend, whose jealousy literally dictates every single move she makes. Now, we've all probably dealt with a competitive friend at some point, right? But trust me, get ready, because the lengths this girl goes to out of sheer envy in this story are truly wild. Okay, let's dive into this, because I want you to ask yourself something. What would you do if your best friend faked a medical emergency just to ruin your success? Seriously, imagine securing the opportunity of a lifetime only to have your closest confidant completely fabricate a family crisis just to drag you away from it. And this wasn't just a one-off mistake. It was the absolute peak of a long-standing pattern of fierce jealousy and sabotage by Gigi. To really understand how a friendship gets to this unbelievable point, we have to start at the very beginning. Which brings us to phase 1, the foundation of jealousy. Let's rewind the timeline all the way back to kindergarten. This is the earliest chronological example we have of their dynamic, and it perfectly sets the stage. Little Maria, even back then, had this incredible natural talent for art. She paints this simple drawing of a tree in a house, and her teachers are absolutely floored. One teacher actually calls it the most beautiful painting she's seen in 15 years, shows it to the principal, and gives Maria $5. Gigi's reaction? She goes pale, yells at the teacher that the painting isn't even special, and storms off. And here's the kicker. How does Maria react? She takes her $5 reward and generously buys Gigi her favorite vanilla ice cream to make her feel better. Maria is endlessly accommodating. Gigi, on the other hand, responds with hostile entitlement. She accuses Maria of rubbing it in her face, rejects the ice cream, and stomps away. It's a perfect blueprint for their entire relationship. Now, what's really interesting here is how you can track the evolution of Gigi's envy over time. We go from those childish kindergarten tantrums over a drawing to the 8th grade, where Gigi actively tries to beat Maria out of a cash prize, all the way to the summer, where Gigi literally fakes a hospital emergency to sabotage Maria's first major press interview. This is a clear, calculated escalation. We're moving from passive resentment straight into active sabotage over the years. And that takes us right into phase 2, escalation and active sabotage. The stakes definitely grew higher once they hit 8th grade. So their art teacher announces a competition with a $500 prize. Maria desperately needed this money. Her family was struggling financially, and she needed to help out her parents and her older brother Sam. Now, Gigi had given up drawing years ago, but the second she hears about the money, she starts practicing day and night with one singular goal: to beat her best friend. Ultimately, Maria wins the contest. But there is this humorous irony in Maria's constant appeasement here. She spends most of her winnings on her family, but with her last $67, she buys Gigi a red dress from Shein for their graduation party. And how does Gigi react? She immediately complains that red is actually her color, not Maria's. To make matters worse, when Gigi's strict mom finds out Maria bought the dress, Gigi actually gets grounded. So even when Maria sacrifices her own scarce prize money, Gigi finds a way to make it a bitter point of contention. Which leads us to the most unhinged sabotage detailed in the source. Part of Maria's prize was a free summer painting camp. It was a massive success. Some people even thought her art was AI because it was so flawless. The camp counselor even invited the local press to interview Maria. But on the day of the interview, Gigi called the camp 17 times. Finally, she had the counselor relay a terrifying message to Maria. Her mother had been taken to the hospital. Maria dropped everything, missed her life-changing interview, and rushed back, only to find out Gigi literally fabricated the entire emergency simply because she missed her. I mean, it's just wild.
So we've seen Gigi attempt to destroy Maria's artistic success and her financial wins. But what happens when jealousy moves from art to romance? Imagine how this extremely toxic dynamic handles the introduction of a high school crush. When the focus shifts from paintbrushes to teenage romance, the sabotage just goes into overdrive.
Enter phase 3, the high school breaking point. It's the very first day of 9th grade, and a new student arrives. His name is Matthias, and he is a very attractive exchange student from Peru. The source notes he was so good-looking that butter could melt right in his hand. He immediately catches Gigi's eye, and she is dead set on making him hers. But her execution, well, it's a total disaster. Gigi tries to flirt with him by swiping her palm through the air like a cat and saying, "Peru poo." Matthias's reaction?
total confusion. He just stares at her with wide eyes and walks away stiffly like a robot. It is a completely disastrous attempt at flirting. And naturally, when Maria awkwardly tries to mimic the gesture just to save her friend from embarrassment, Gigi blames Maria for ruining the moment.
Despite Gigi's territorial claims, Matthias actually ends up sitting next to Maria in English class. They bond over this confusing essay where Matthias literally wrote, "Mom is summer." They start laughing, writing together, and accidentally brush hands. Let's walk through Gigi's rapid, chaotic reaction to this. She immediately sprints out of her seat to interrupt them. When the teacher calls her out for this bizarre behavior, she argues back. She then proceeds to make these whiny noises until she earns herself a full 3 weeks of detention. As they walk home after Gigi finishes detention, Gigi delivers this incredibly dramatic quote. "It's a knife, an invisible knife you stabbed me in the back by dating Matthias." Keep in mind, Maria and Matthias were absolutely not dating. They simply worked on an English essay together. But Gigi masterfully manipulates Maria by completely fabricating this deep betrayal, forcing Maria right back onto the defensive yet again.
So the crucial point here is how Gigi's desperate attempts to keep them apart only end up driving them closer together. She forces Maria to change seats. She then steals Maria's private drawings of Matthias and literally throws them in Matthias's face, claiming she drew them to prove her obsession. But Matthias immediately recognizes Maria's unique artistic heart in the work. Gigi then resorts to actively stalking him behind the school water cooler until she receives a formal warning from the principal and gets grounded by her mother. Her sabotage completely backfires. And that brings us to phase 4, the ultimate jealousy backfire, the dramatic finale of our explainer. All of this tension, all of this envy, and all of these stolen drawings culminate in one massive, unexpected event. Out of nowhere, Maria receives a shocking phone call. Representatives from the International Emerging Artists Award inform her that she has won their grand prize. And the prize amount? A staggering $300,000. This is a massive turning point for her impoverished family and for her brother Sam's eccentric career. But the catch is, Maria never actually submitted her artwork. As reporters swarm Maria's house with cameras and microphones, Matthias steps out from the crowd. He confesses that he was the one who submitted her art, specifically the drawing she made of their hands touching, the very art that Gigi stole and threw at him in the hallway. Matthias tells Maria it was the most beautiful thing she ever made, and right there in front of the press, he asks her to be his girlfriend. And how does Gigi handle this fairy tale moment? Just look at the contrast in their realities right now. Maria is living a dream. She's just won $300,000, and the guy of her dreams is confessing his feelings on live camera. Gigi's reaction is to literally physically shove herself between the couple. She interrupts the romantic proposal to loudly accuse Maria of stealing artwork and commits defamation, desperately attempting to ruin Maria's moment of triumph one last time. But Gigi's tantrum is cut short by a reporter who drops a massive truth bomb, and it all centers around the number 13. The reporter actually recognizes Matthias. He reveals live on camera that Matthias's father is the wealthiest man in Peru and the 13th richest man in the United States. Upon hearing that the boy she terrorized and chased away is literally a billionaire heir, the source describes this deeply satisfying conclusion. Gigi's jaw drops, she snorts like a jealous pig, falls straight onto her butt, and starts crying like a baby. Meanwhile, Matthias pulls Maria into a hug and kisses her, completely ignoring Gigi's breakdown on the floor.
It's a wildly dramatic ending for sure, but it leaves us with an important question to reflect on. As we wrap up this explainer, ask yourself, at what point does accommodating a jealous friend cross the line into self-sabotage? Maria spent years shrinking herself, spending her own money, and missing out on life-changing opportunities just to keep a toxic friend from throwing a tantrum. It's a powerful reminder to really examine our own boundaries and to recognize when a friend is actually cheering for your success versus secretly plotting your downfall. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive, and I'll catch you on the next one.